We are letting you ask the expert this morning. In a tough economy, a lot of people have questions about their money, and this morning we have help for you.
That's right. Personal wealth advisor Brant Brock is here with some advice. We've been taking some questions from our viewers, and we want to tell our viewers that you can still send in questions, anything finance related. Email them right now to asktheexpert@fox23.com or go to our Fox 23 Daybreak Facebook page. The first question we've gotten, someone wants to know, I'm concerned I may not have enough in savings if I were to lose my job. Right now, what is the realistic amount you need to have in savings?
Well, that's a great question to be prepared for on an individual basis, and it's important to think about it from a couple different perspectives. If I was out of work for 3 months or 6 months or however long it might take me with my profession to get a job, and that could depend on things like, am I willing to relocate? What type of job is it? Those sorts of things. It could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You need to have those expenses kind of on reserve, ready to cover your expenses. You also need to think about if I were to have some sort of incident or accident, like I need to replace my roof or a car. That's kind of another number you need to have in mind, and whichever is kind of the bigger of those two, you need to have saved. Now, as you're thinking about that savings, I know interest rates are very low right now, so you only want to have a portion of that set aside in your savings account. You might also take a portion of it and put it in CDs or something like that to seek a little bit higher rate, and then maybe even another portion to seek a little bit greater earnings.
What if someone wants to do this, wants to have that reserve in savings, and they're in a position right now where they're in debt? How do they get rid of that as quickly as they can in order to actually achieve that goal of having that savings?
Well, you need to be careful because you need to have a balance, because if you continue to pay down that debt and don't have a reserve, accidents and problems do come up, and it's important to have that alongside of paying down that debt. But paying down that debt is very important because it reduces your monthly expenses.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, here's another question from one of our viewers. My fiance and I planning to get married in the next couple of months. What financial issues should a couple address before getting married?
Well, the most important thing is to begin that dialogue of how you view the world financially, and how does your spouse view the world, or fiance view the world financially. Things like, home ownership, going into debt potentially for that. Other things like, when would you be inclined to start having children, the costs associated with that. Would one of the two individuals stay home to take care of them? And frankly, it could be healthy just to go ahead and put off some of those decisions for a few months, maybe even a year, so that you have time to get adjusted to each other and those sorts of things. Financial stress can be one of the most challenging things in a relationship, and to give yourself some time and be diligent to talk about all aspects of budgeting and things like that can be helpful.
We've got one more viewer question now. She says, I'm worried about my daughter who just graduated from college and is in debt and can't get out. Any tips for talking to her about managing her money? Should I offer to help her?
Well, just beginning to have that dialogue is the first step. And things about where the money's going and working and college debt, it's very important to, one of those conversations that someone needs to have is to make sure that the young person understands that paying off that college debt is of critical importance. It's something that won't go away generally in bankruptcy. The college debt specifically, it can really cause a problem long-term on your credit score. Making sure all those concepts are communicated, and things like setting up an automatic payment scheme from your bank account, those kinds of things can really help give you a chance to lower some of those interest rates. But just beginning to have that dialogue about money and where is it going and those sorts of things. As far as trying to help, that is a big help, because a young person doesn't always know all the circumstances and the way things operate, so that's kind of is a big help. As far as financial help, you need to be very careful, because you don't want to create any sort of bad habits or dependency in a young person.
Good advice.
Terrific. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
And again, we're going to have more. If you have questions about debt and your money, he will be back at 8:15 to answer more questions. Our expert Brant will be here again. And you can go to fox23.com, or you can go to the Fox 23 Daybreak Facebook page to ask those questions. Good questions from our viewers.
Yes, yeah. Keep sending them.